Well, welcome back to another episode of the Always About People show. My name is Chris Allen, and I am so glad that you're joining with us for this episode of the show. We've got another great topic for you today. And as always, we try to cover topics related to leadership and people and the things that so many of you are wrestling with and struggling with. We meet with many leaders from across the country who give us kind of the stuff that they are dealing with within their companies. And so today's topic is one that I know so many organizations struggle with. And the topic is debunking the delegation dilemma. Yeah, I know it's a lot to say, but whether you're watching us live or you're watching this as a recording, thank you for joining with us for another episode. Again, just a reminder, you can join us live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. And remember, sign up for notifications, like, subscribe. We want you to be able to join us on a regular basis for these topics. Again, also, please send in comments, questions, anything that we can get to afterwards. But again, we're excited that you're joining with us for this topic, debunking the delegation dilemma. I know in talking with so many leaders from across the country, this idea of delegation is sometimes pretty difficult. You know, one of my main questions is, why don't people delegate? So I took some ideas from Deborah Grayson Reigel from Wharton, and she listed 10 ways to know if you may have a delegation problem. And I thought the list was pretty funny. So number one, you joke about being a control freak, but it's not really a joke and no one's laughing. So if that's you, you may have a delegation problem. Number two, you worry about being seen as dispensable or not needed because someone else may learn to do your job. Number three, everything is urgent. Everything is urgent. You may have a delegation problem. Number four, you don't trust giving projects to people you can't see working in a remote or hybrid environment. In other words, you like to be able to see people at their desks. You like to know that they're working. If you can't see them, you can't trust them. Number five, most of your tasks feel comfortable to you. You're just in a rhythm. Everything feels comfortable. Number six, you say, yes, I'll do it, even for tasks you know you shouldn't be doing. You just have a routine. You have a habit of saying, yes, you'll take on everything, even though you know you shouldn't be doing it. Number seven, your performance review and the people around you say, you need to delegate more. People are telling you you need to delegate more. That means you may have a problem. Number eight, you are addicted to adrenaline. You're an adrenaline junkie. Number nine, your direct reports repeatedly ask if there's something they can take off your plate. If other people are constantly coming to you saying, what can I take? What can I take? You may have a delegation problem. And number 10, thinking about delegating makes you nauseous. So again, those are the 10 ways to know if you may have a delegation problem. If you're watching this show now and you kind of read through or you listen through those questions and you think, you know what, I may have an issue with delegation, I would just ask that you listen to the rest of this show. Because for this show, I want to give you kind of 10 things to think about as the delegator, the leader, the manager, the person who's doing the delegating. And then 10 things that I want you as an individual and employee to understand about delegation and what it does for you. Because delegation not only helps the person who is doing the delegation, because they can kind of relieve stuff on their plate, but it also benefits the person who's taking work on, the delegatee. And I think oftentimes we miss that in this whole delegation dilemma. So the debunking the delegation dilemma is to say, it's not just about one person. It's actually about both people, both parties benefiting. And so oftentimes it's really our own pride, insecurity, and fear that keeps us from giving people work that we know we should be giving to them. It's the insecurity that says, gosh, if I give it to them, what will happen to me? It's in many ways the pride that says, if I give it to them and they don't do it as well as me, what will happen? It's in some ways that fear of saying, if I give it to them and they make a mistake, what's the client going to think? What's the customer going to say? And so, for all of these reasons, we don't delegate, even though we know it will be better for us and better for the person that we're delegating it to. And so, what I thought I would do is just give you 10 things that will benefit both parties so that you can begin to understand, gosh, maybe I need to rethink this delegation dilemma. So, the first thing is for the delegator, for the leader, the manager who is doing the delegating, for the person who has way too much on their plate, who's simply saying, what would it look like if I actually offloaded some of the responsibilities that I have on me to other people? And yet it can be so difficult. So the first thing, and again, these are 10 things. The first thing, it allows you to see what's possible. So for the person who is taking on responsibility, delegating, even if you just try once, gives you the ability to see what's possible, to see the capacity that is created when you just take the risk to delegate to other people. Number two, you create sustainability. You create sustainability. So for leaders who are continuing to take on more work, delegation actually helps you to avoid burnout. So creating the sustainability allows me to take on even more so-called important things. Maybe it's more in alignment with my strengths and my giftings. Maybe it's more in alignment with my expertise or my experience. And so, number two, create sustainability. Number three, personal priorities. My own personal priorities are actually now accomplished through inspired people. So I get to watch some of what's important to me get accomplished, created through other people who are also excited and inspired and motivated by what we're doing. So not only do I just get to push stuff off onto other people, that's not the goal, but it's, can I see some inspired people take on those things that are really important to me and actually go and accomplish them? Now, part of that is, how do I delegate? But we'll give you some thoughts on that later. Number four, delegation actually increases profitability. So in any business, however profit is generated, we know that if you have the ability as a leader or manager to delegate tasks to other individuals, we know that that can drive profitability simply because those other individuals may be taking on tasks allowing you to do even more work, potentially work around going and generating new clients, driving customer experience or customer service, driving retention, training of staff, the things that maybe only you can actually do. Number five, it actually drives marketing because now you have more time. As I mentioned on the last one around profitability, now that you have more time, you can begin to think through, okay, how do I retain customers? How can I drive even greater customer experience? How do I get in front of the right people? And so again, if you can offload some of the responsibilities that maybe consume your time so that you can focus on what only you can do, we can really drive marketing. Number six, you improve retention. It's proven that if you can engage other people in your organization in more meaningful work, when you take the time to actually value a person by giving them responsibility, they feel valued by their organization, they feel valued by you, and they feel like their work is meaningful. Improve retention. Number seven, it increases competitive capabilities. In other words, if you can train up and develop a staff that can take on your responsibilities, you become more competitive in the marketplace. So you increase your competitive capabilities when you train other people. Number eight, by delegating, it allows you to focus on the important. on what only you can do. Oftentimes, we've heard it said that if somebody can do it about 80% as well as you can, you should be delegating, because then you can focus on the 20% that only you can do, the stuff that maybe you bring from an experience or from knowledge or from wisdom, or the customers that only you have developed a relationship with. That's where we need to focus for the betterment of the organization. Number 9, it improves client customer retention. So not only does it improve employee retention, but it improves customer and client retention because you can spend more time focused on them. And number 10 might be the most important in my mind, is that by delegating, you leave a legacy. Because if leadership is truly about developing people, then your ability to delegate in order to develop leaves a legacy. And so for all of the individuals that you're taking time to teach, that you are passing along your knowledge, your wisdom, your insight, those become individuals who can carry on the legacy that you've created. Maybe it's some of the ideas that you have in meeting customer needs or serving customers with excellence, but your legacy carries on as you delegate and develop the people under you. And so those are 10 ways that, again, you as the leader, manager, supervisor, actually get to see things around you improve by just simply delegating. If you can overcome some of your own pride, your insecurity, and your fear, and actually delegate to other individuals, you'll see these 10 things happen in the organization. Just a reminder, you get to see what's possible. You get to create sustainability. Your personal priorities are now accomplished through inspired people. That's a pretty cool thing. It increases profitability. It improves marketing. It improves employee retention. It increases your competitive capabilities. It allows you to focus on what's most important, on the things that only you can do. It improves client and customer retention, not just employee retention, and it allows you to leave a legacy. 10 things that delegation does for you, the leader, manager, the delegator. But you're not the only one impacted positively, because the individual, the employee, the individual contributor, the delegatee who is taking on more responsibility is also improving. And so I thought I would give you a simple list of 10 again on the things that a delegatee gets to improve in or gains through delegation as well. Number 1, it increases motivation and morale. For the individual who's taking on responsibility, the fact that you would ask them to do something that you've done says to them, wow, I am important. This person has recognized that I can take on this responsibility, and their intrinsic motivation around enjoyment of the work, feeling a great purpose, and seeing their potential improve, that drives motivation and improves morale. Number 2, you get to actually utilize your strengths and gifts and abilities to improve the organization. And so if somebody is going to delegate to me, it's going to be in alignment with my strengths, my abilities, and my gifts. And therefore, I get to use the way that I was wired. I get to be the best version of myself. And so not only does it increase my motivation and morale, but I get to utilize my strengths, gifts, and abilities. And then number 3, it's all about my individual development. When I am delegated something, it's an opportunity for me to work on stretching and challenging myself around interesting things. It's the chance to build skills and new abilities. And so it really is about development. Number 4, I feel valued. I feel incredibly valued when somebody would take the time to look at me and trust me with a new responsibility. In many ways, it says, I believe in you. And all of us, want to be believed in. Number 5, I get to feel a part of a team, like I belong, and that my responsibility is to the team, and that they're counting on me. And so, regardless of the size of your team, when I have the opportunity to take on a new responsibility, I feel like a valuable member of the team. Number 6, I feel a sense of contribution, like I'm actually contributing to the success of the team. I feel the sense of contribution. Number 7, I develop resilience, because oftentimes when we're delegated, it's not like we're going to go and accomplish something with perfection. Most of us will make some mistakes, we'll have some failures along the way, and we'll understand now what it means to push through problems. So we develop resilience, which is a life skill. It's an incredible skill that we get to develop through delegation. Number 8, it really grants us a level of ownership. We feel like owners. We feel trusted because somebody has given us a specific task or responsibility. We're now accountable for accomplishing something, and we feel like owners. Number 9, we feel a sense of autonomy. Now, again, we could delegate the wrong way and delegate but then micromanage. But in proper delegation, the task is given, the expectations are clearly articulated, the due dates are emphasized, and the expectations around what it means to be done and accomplished, those are all set. The rest is up to me with some level of autonomy to go and figure out how to accomplish it. And then number 10, last but not least, it develops confidence. When somebody delegates something to me, I develop confidence in who I am. And through that confidence, we often see improved performance. So the 10 things that delegation does for the individual, for the employee, for the delegatee. Number 1, increases motivation and morale. Number 2, it's the ability to utilize my strengths, gifts, and abilities. Number 3, it's about my development. It's about the development of new skills and abilities. Number 4, I feel valued because I feel believed in. Number 5, I feel a part of a team, like I belong. Number 6, I feel a sense of contribution. Number 7, I develop resilience. Number 8, I get a sense of ownership. Number 9, I get some level of autonomy. And 10, it really develops confidence in me. And so these are the 10 things that delegation does for the leader, the manager, the delegator, and 10 things that delegation does for the individual, the employee, and the delegatee. And so, in many ways, debunking the delegation dilemma is really about saying delegation is not just for one person. It actually benefits two sides. It benefits both parties. And oftentimes that's missed. So in the dilemma of delegation, we can think it's all about ourselves and all about my selfishness and just needing to get rid of work. And so many of us will hold on to it in pride and insecurity and fear. So how do we delegate? Here are just some simple steps. And I figured I might as well stay on this rhythm of 10. So how do I delegate? Number 1, force yourself. For some of us, delegation is really, really difficult. And you're going to just have to force yourself into it. Force yourself to delegate and see what happens. Number 2, be proactive. If you wait until you burn out, it's too late. You have to start with some really small steps. Force yourself to take some proactive small steps before it's too late. Number 3, know strengths and weaknesses. Know your own strengths and weaknesses, but know the strengths and weaknesses of the individuals that you're delegating to. Take the time to teach. Before you just delegate something, make sure that you've taken the time to engage with an individual, to teach them what they need to do and the expectations and how to do something a certain way. Teach them, teach them, teach them. Number 5, Clarify your expectations. It's really difficult when you're delegated something and there is no clarity around the expectations because you really don't know what expectation you're meeting. So you try to figure it out, you try to meet it, you're guessing most of the time, but just clarify it up front. Number 6, start with why. Share the reasons why you're delegating. Share why it is that we're trying to accomplish this task or responsibility. So start with why. Number 7, inspire commitment. Really give a vision for what commitment looks like to this responsibility or this task. Number 8, engage in the process appropriately. In other words, once you've delegated, it's not fair that you would go back in and micromanage everything. Trust, but verify. So engage at the appropriate level. Again, appropriate level doesn't mean total hands off. Depending on where somebody is in their own competency or in their own commitment or in their own confidence, you may have to take a different level of engagement depending on where they are in that spectrum. But again, it doesn't mean delegate and then micromanage. So at some point in time, I would just say engage appropriately. Number 9, give and receive feedback. So give some feedback on how it's going, but also be willing to receive feedback on how you're managing, how you're micromanaging, what they need more of or less of as a team or an individual. And then number 10, in the future, as you delegate, commit selectively to new responsibilities. And what I mean by that is as you begin to build confidence in delegation, that team members and colleagues and your team can actually accomplish and be held accountable for what you delegate, you get the opportunity to now say yes to more. So you can either say yes, you can say no, or you can say yes if I can involve my team in accomplishing this task. And so, again, 10 ways to begin delegating. Number 1, force yourself. Number 2, be proactive. Number 3, know the strengths and weaknesses of both yourself and your team. Take the time to teach. Clarify expectations. Start with why. Give the reasons why. Number 7, inspire commitment. Number 8, engage appropriately. Trust but verify. Number 9, give and receive feedback. Number 10, commit selectively. Yes, no, or yes, if I can include some other people in the accomplishment of this task. And so again, I gave you a number of lists because I was really just trying to go straight at debunking the delegation dilemma. I think the issue is in most organizations, there are a few select people who take on a majority of the responsibility. Meanwhile, we know that delegation improves the leader, the manager, the delegator, and does some incredible things for their own growth, for their own capacity, and for their own development into what some would consider more important tasks that only they can do. But delegation is also really important for the individual, for the employee and the delegatee, because delegation can dramatically improve and develop and increase retention and morale and motivation. We went through the list. And so you really just need to start. You need to take the risk. You need to get over the insecurity, the fear, in many ways over your own pride to just begin. And so we gave you 10 ways on how to delegate just to get started. But more so than anything, rather than remembering the list or memorizing the list, I mean, really, guys, those weren't exhaustive lists. More than anything, I would just say begin to think about how delegating can not only improve you, but can improve the other person. It's 2 ways. So the delegation dilemma is, gosh, if I delegate, here's what I lose. But the truth is, if I delegate, look at what I have to gain. And so that's the debunking of it. The debunking of it is, it's not about losing. It's truly about what you could gain. So I hope you've gained something from this show. Thank you to those of you who watch us so faithfully. We hope that we're continuing to bring you relevant and practical topics and conversations that can improve not only your leadership, your management, but just your interaction with people in general. Thank you for joining us again today. Whether you're watching us live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or on Facebook, we appreciate you joining with us. Remember, like, subscribe, sign up for notifications. You don't want to miss one of these shows. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.